Aside from having to occasionally get her informant Louis Serra out of trouble,
What kind of a man leaves a lady?
Ada isn't constrained by the ebb and flow of RE4 Remake's main story. Separate Ways takes full advantage of not having to slowly haul a kidnapped president's daughter around by rarely dialing the action down. You can still chat up the mysterious merchant, take on a few of his requests, and upgrade Ada's unique shotgun and explosive bow.
Don't get yourself killed.
There's also oodles of treasures to find by spotting chests and hanging objects, but I appreciate that Separate Ways doesn't try to slow its momentum too much by bringing over diversions like the shooting range minigames. Though Ada can still buy charms to gain passive bonuses, which is a great touch. While the story is destined to end in Leon's showdown with Sadler, I appreciate that Capcom didn't shy away from giving Ada a chance to shine on her own, culminating in a 1-2 punch of a satisfying solo boss fight, and a behind-the-scenes race to help Leon deliver the killing blow that matched the heart-pounding pace of Leon's eventual escape from the island. There's even some added context to Ada's ending that we don't see from Leon's point of view, and it's left me intrigued about what Capcom has in store for the inevitable Resident Evil 5 remake. Resident Evil 4 Separate Ways lifts up and reinvents Ada Wong's story much the same way that Resident Evil 4 Remake itself did for Leon Kennedy. The relatively short 4-hour runtime leaves very little room for the action-packed adventure to make a misstep, and it never does. Levels are familiar but feel new. Encounters and boss fights are reworked and fantastically varied, Ada's grapple gun ability feels right at home alongside the remake's new features, and surprises way in store even for die-hard Resident Evil fans who think they've seen everything. As modestly sized DLC expansions go, it's hard to ask for much more than this. For more on games with extra content, check out our review of Cyberpunk 2077's Phantom Liberty DLC, and our review of the Teal Mask for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. For everything else, stick with IGN.
If there's one thing you can count on with any comic book superhero game, it's that they're going to be full of all sorts of Easter eggs and references with fun and clever nods to heroes and villains that didn't make it into the game proper, comic book history, and more. Spider-Man 2 is no different. So let's comb through the streets of New York to find some of our favorite Spider-Man 2 Easter eggs. One of the coolest parts of the main campaign is when Peter, Harry, and MJ all get to hang out and explore Coney Island together. But did you catch all the cheeky references that almost every attraction contains? The octopus in the Octopus Ride has a head mirror on its head indicating that he's a doctor, a clear nod to Dr. Octopus. The roller coaster is called the Speed Demon, referring to a Marvel villain of the same name. The arcade belongs to a Kadensky, or more like A.R. Kadensky. The Whack-A-Mole game is called Hydra Head Splitters, referring to the villainous group Hydra. Dazzler's stage is a nod to the hero Dazzler. The Flying Mantis ride, of course, refers to Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. The Ferris wheel, called Big Wheel, might not seem like anything, but there is in fact a villain named Jackson Wheel who rode in a wheel called Big Wheel. Rocket Racer is the name of this guy, a former common criminal turned costume villain, eventually turned good guy. Overdrive refers to this guy. Time Twisters, these weirdos. King Crab's Water Whirl refers to one of Namor's defenders called King Crab. Hydro Bench is a nod to Hydro Man. Mysterium could either just be a play on Mysterio, but it also could be one of several other things in the Marvel Universe, from a lesser-known villain to Doc Savage, to a type of metal. There's probably more, and you can check the full list of all the ones that we spotted in a slideshow on IGN.com. There's a touching tribute to Chadwick Boseman in the form of the Wakandan Embassy, located right here in Midtown. By heading to the front door of the embassy as Miles and pressing triangle, you'll do the Wakandan salute. Very cool. Even cooler if you do it in Miles' Black Panther suit. The Fantastic Four don't appear in Spider-Man 2, but their presence can be felt by heading to the southwestern tip of Central Park to find the Baxter Building. This is, of course, the HQ of the Four, and you can even go to the top of the building to find their logo being freshly painted. Worth noting, this used to be one of Fisk's buildings in the original game, as it's in the exact same location. So basically, the Fantastic Four have taken it over from Kingpin and repurposed it. Perhaps maybe a tease of what's to come.
Buenas noches a todas las personas que nos escuchan en este momento. Yo soy el Geek y estamos transmitiendo en vivo con la primera prueba beta, transmitiendo a través de YouTube los Game Awards 2023. Faltan 1 minuto con 57, 14, 51, una hora con 57 minutos para el inicio del evento. Como lo ven en pantalla, no puedo ver bien, tenía la pantalla muy lejos, y estaremos atentos a todos los avisos y notificaciones del caso. Yo soy el Geek y estamos en nuestro grupo de WhatsApp. Estamos en WhatsApp en game.soyelgeek.com. También estamos a través de todas las redes sociales, Instagram, y también a través de nuestro canal de YouTube. Si lo quieres ver en pantalla grande, es Geeks Company, soy el Geek, y vas a conseguir allí nuestro enlace. Puedes visitarnos a través de soyelgeek.com. Y bueno, para nosotros es un gran placer acompañarnos en esta ceremonia que está por comenzar. Dice 1 hora con 56, ¿cierto? Aquí dice 1 hora con 56, ¿verdad, Rosana? Sí, correctamente. Entonces, bueno, nada, vamos a ver qué más nos trae esto. Nos vemos más tarde, porque vamos a transmitir más tarde, cuando ya sea el evento. Y vamos a estar con ustedes a través de toda la transmisión de los Game Awards 2023.
You can also find the graves of Finn and Rick Mason in the cemetery of Harlem at the southern edge. And to round it out on a happy note, you can also find the freshly completed Spider-Man mural next to Miles' apartment in Harlem. Lockjaw is not only one of the most irritating cards to deal with in Marvel Snap, he's also a notable Marvel character and part of the Inhumans. And if you'd like to see a statue that celebrates the large pup, you can find it just north of Battery Park in Manhattan. Excelsior! Stan Lee may no longer be with us, but his spirit will forever live on, not only in the comics and characters he's created, the many movies he's cameoed in,
security ought to be beefed up a lot more in a place like this.
But also in Spider-Man 2. Head to the Upper West Side District across from the center of Central Park to find this statue. A fun little Easter egg that's exclusive to Peter Parker is his ability to pull out and solve a Rubik's Cube while dive bombing through the air. To do it, make sure you get someplace really high. Then dive bomb off the edge, and while falling, hold square and pull back on the left stick. He can actually solve it if you hold it down long enough. Just remember to swing before you hit the ground, because otherwise, well, it's going to be real bad for Peter. In the first Spider-Man game and Miles Morales, you could find the Nelson and Murdoch law firm in Hell's Kitchen on West 44th Street. The building is still there, but notably, the plaque on the building is not. What could this mean? We asked senior